Dustin, I think the man loved me. But a lot of times men marry women or partner with women because they love them. They love them as they are. Mm-hmm. And there's actually a deep resentment when you said woman have the audacity to then aspire to be more. Because I didn't marry you to be more.
Tell me you love me.
Hey, y'all, I'm Eboni K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin, my love.
Yes.
You know, well, pride has prided.
It has, and now it's time for shame.
That's what you told us.
Okay, I told you, because that's what we had the whole month.
Pious.
Okay, I just got to refresh and regroup, but yes, I feel great.
Good. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, it from the sidelines, it looked like it was a bag of fun.
Mm-hmm. So
I'm just so happy. It was yet another successful, wonderful pride.
Yes, it was.
In the country, but especially there's something special about New York. Mm-hmm. Would you say?
It's the best. That's why we are the last one. We close out the month.
Yeah, you're the closer.
The headliners, baby.
Yeah.
So people travel from all over the world to come to New York City and celebrate with us.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
Well, it was certainly a great time in Harlem.
Yes, it was.
I did get a little bit of that kickback.
That's what's
and
up.
It was great. All right, y'all. So listen, we're talking today, Pack Docket. We're going to do two, what I call companion pieces. Mm-hmm. Okay. They both involve high earning celebrity women who are going through high profile divorces with men, but not men that don't earn, right?
Yeah.
So this is when both of these I think are interesting cases. We're talking about with Teyana Taylor and Iman Shumpert, mm-hmm. and then also the first Black Bachelorette, Rachel Lindsay, mm-hmm. divorcing her husband. And I think they both represent, Dustin, and I definitely want your take too, kind of the evolution mm-hmm. of what it is to be a high earning woman married at some point to a man who also is high earning. And then when it comes time to divorce, everybody acts like they don't know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very interesting. And I'm paying attention to both of these, but I'm also drawing lessons. And I want you jurors to do so as well. And last up on the docket, Kentanji Brown Jackson, our first Black woman ever to sit on the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And she's already been so impactful, y'all. And we've talked about some of the ways. And when she came on the court, Dustin, as you know, many people, including people that look like us, said, well, yeah, that's great, but it's not going to make a difference, right? Because there's such a strong conservative majority. I want to prove to you that's a lie. I want to prove to you that this Black woman, this Black intellectual giant, this Black legal scholar is indeed making a difference. And while we need more of her, let's be mm-hmm. clear. Okay, so we'll talk about all that and more. Teyana Taylor. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it was just not so long ago, Dustin, that this couple was couples goals. Do you remember this?
Absolutely.
This was literally, 2 years ago, maybe? When was he on Dancing with the Stars? And he won.
That was probably about 3 years ago.
About 3 years ago?
Yeah, maybe longer, actually.
I know. You know what it is? The pandemic got us.
Threw everything off. These last 4 years have been a
blur.
Cluster. Yeah.
But I definitely remember Iman, Teyana, the first beautiful baby, then mm-hmm. they had a second beauty. They got the cutest kids in the world.
They're a beautiful family.
They're
both gorgeous. And they had two beautiful children with big personalities.
Yes.
So we loved seeing their family unit.
It was literally a model mm-hmm. family in so many ways. And yet that has dissipated in that form, I should say. Because Teyana's still beautiful. The kids are still beautiful. Yeah. Iman is still a great looking man. It just looks different now. I actually want to sidebar for a second because I think that, what do you think is at play, Dustin, when we see especially Black families like this? Because I'm thinking of Tia Mowry and Corey mm-hmm. Hardwick, mm-hmm. where it's something that I think was so aspirational for mm-hmm. a lot of those of us in the culture and the culture in general. And then when grown people decide to do what's best for them, mm-hmm. I almost feel like the culture feels like let down or something. I don't know, because I feel like people are still kind of critical of Tia, for instance.
They have made her a villain completely.
And what is that about?
Because she's a woman who made a decision to live her life differently, and people think that she ruined their family by doing so.
Now, do you think people think she ruined their family, or do people think, and mm-hmm. do you think people think she ruined their fantasy?
Both. And I
Both.
think it's because the reality for most people is that their own marriages did not continue, right? Or marriages
If they had them at all.
If they had them at all, what they've seen in life, you know. So them being married, having such a beautiful family, that does represent a fantasy. They romanticize
Sure.
that.
That's what it is.
And so there's a
Okay.
disappointment almost that sets in for fans.
Got it.
But this is somebody's life we're talking about.
That's it.
So like you have to respect
And they
that.
only get the one.
Yeah.
They don't get a do-over because we liked the first version.
Yeah.
You know, this ain't a movie and a sequel.
That's right.
This is people's life. And do you think it's a little bit of that? I mean, I don't think people have demonized Teyana Taylor to near about the same degree. But I'm going to tell you, I think some of that is because Iman is doing her the favor. I don't think he's trying to necessarily do her a favor, but I think because he's talking so much about his own deficiencies, I think that is helping the narrative when it comes to Teyana. What,
For sure.
You agree? Okay.
Absolutely. And Teyana Taylor, you have to remember, that's somebody that people essentially watched grow up. We met her on my Super Sweet 16.
But we watched Tia grow up too.
Tia too. So like these are right. So these are both women where ultimately we're going to root for them. You know what I'm saying? And in Tia's case, it's different because Corey was very private. I think he just did his first interview about it recently where he said he cried himself to sleep every night.
That was just a couple weeks ago. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different, but absolutely in Teyana and Iman's case, he's been vocal in ways that have made Teyana look better to the public.
I agree.
And so that helps.
Do you think he's aware? I'm just curious. I'm just asking, from a male perspective.
No.
Okay.
I think that he's hurt. That's what I think. I think that he made some mistakes per what we've seen in the court documents from Teyana and her testimony in the trial.
Yeah.
I think he made some mistakes that he's seeing real life consequences of. He's hurt and embarrassed, and he's doing the immature thing that a lot of us do, which is lash out.
Yeah, the venting and the just really talking too damn much. Okay, so here are the legal facts and why this is on our docket today, y'all. A judge has ordered Teyana Taylor and Iman to submit their divorce settlement in writing by the end of this month. So that it's been done as of this recording, but it just happened. The judge wants to end the back and forth between Miss Taylor and Mr. Shumpert over the issues like parenting and child support. To Dustin's point, they've been kind of I would say more he than she, but both of them to some extent, I think both their camps have kind of been litigating this in the court of public opinion. And the judge said it's enough is enough. And I actually need y'all to direct your attention over here to the bench and go ahead and submit that shit to the entity that matters, which is the court.
Yep.
And that's the right position. If the pair does not come to an agreement, then the judge has promised to remove the case and they're going to have to start all over again. And sometimes you got to be like that. Here's the thing, y'all, these judges, it's interesting because I think people think of politicians, Dustin, and judges similarly. They're very different. Or they let me say this, they should be different. What you have with politicians is a incentive model to posture and to speak and to be public and to hold press conferences and because you're soliciting. These judges, they're not playing with their time. They're not out here trying to get fanfare, most of them, or their names in the papers. They're trying to execute the business of the court, and they're trying to clear their docket.
Right.
Okay? So y'all out here playing and having interviews and going back and forth and all this bullshit. Fill out the document, come to agreement, or don't, or I'm going to send your ass back to starting point.
Yep, which is expensive.
Expensive, and expense in a few ways, Dustin. Expensive from a litigation standpoint, and expensive from the other things, at least that Teyana has going on, because Iman had already told us he literally playing video games at house.
Watching the kids.
And sometimes watching the kids.
Yeah.
But Teyana, ma'am, you are doing movies, you are cutting albums, you are making videos, you are working, and you are earning. So going back to ground zero, that ain't the look that she wants.
Yeah.
We do know that. Okay. So keep in mind that the divorce proceeding was first filed not January of 2024, y'all. This was filed last January. So this is right now, as we speak, they're a year and a half into this process. You kind of want to start getting wrapped up by this point.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. So why are they getting divorced? I know some of y'all might have missed this part. Remember that Teyana Taylor filed. A lot of people were shocked, as Dustin mentioned. She cited cruel treatment. So this was not just a we grew apart thing. She's saying, no, there were things done in the marriage that constituted cruel treatment legally. That's a statutory term. She managed to keep the filings under wraps for 10 months. We didn't know nothing about it for the first 10 months. But then, of course, somebody did their research via the journalism piece and found the filing. So we found out late last year.
Yep.
Teyana Taylor announced her separation in September in the court documents. She alleges that their marriage crumbled because Iman was jealous of her fame. Grew insecure when photographers requested for him to step out of the frame, which we've both been in that situation. You know, we're not Teyana Taylor. We're not saying that, but we have been on red carpets, Dustin and myself individually and together, where this type of thing happened. So I want us to speak to that in a minute. And she also says this, Dustin, when it comes to the cruel treatment piece, that part of the cruelness came from his feeling that he was not good enough for her at some point. And that's just sad.
With high earning women or women that have a lot of power in their relationship, sometimes the husband does feel inadequate, which is really silly and immature to me. Yeah. But I've heard that before.
I've heard it. I've lived it. And I think that it's sad here too, because the dynamic of their respective statures in the industry, if you will, and their earnings changed massively during the course of their marriage, right? So we got to remember there was a time where he was a big NBA star, also a big kind of pop culture phenom. Like my mom is like a big Iman Shumpert fan from Dancing with the Stars, and maybe I don't know why I want to say he was on Wild 'N Out or stuff like that, or stuff like that.
Yeah, he's done a few things.
Just done a few things, even outside of the league, to garner him an entertainment fan base, right? In addition to just a basketball fan base. So, anyways, he was also, I think, big time, if you will, in his own right. Also earning millions at one time in his own right. And then he retired. And this happens, right? When somebody retires, this happens a lot in these pro athlete marriages, Dustin, where, you know, that confidence, that swag, that positioning is one way when the marriage starts. And then over the course of not that many years, typically is the case, because athlete careers tend to be relatively short. Right. This woman's career is ascending at the same time his is descending. And managing that dynamic, I ain't gonna hold you. That is not for the weak of heart. That is not anything that I would want to marry.
It's just crazy to me, because if you know that you married a woman who's a celebrity and you know that she works and you understand the ebbs and flows of careers in entertainment, you know, and obviously anyone who is seeking success in film and music, you want to grow and you want to go far. So you would think that.
Are you speaking from Teyana's lens?
I'm speaking from his lens as a person who married a person that works in it. You would think that he would want to see her grow.
No, you would think that. No, better. Dustin, you would think that. I don't think that. I'm gonna tell you why. You know, long ago I was married, and I too at that time aspired to certain goals in this industry. Now, what my ex-husband would tell you is that he married a lawyer, and he did. He married a lawyer that had her little six-figure, not little, but had her relative to then six-figure income, got a check every 2 weeks, and he kind of knew what to expect with it. Then I expressed, I want to, you know, kind of venture out. This is when I moved to LA, and he begrudgingly moved with me. And, you know, I want to do this, I want to do that. I will tell you, at least in my experience, Dustin, I think the man loved me, just like I believe Iman loved Teyana. But a lot of times men marry women or partner with women because they love them as they are. And there's actually a deep resentment when you said woman have the audacity to then aspire to be more. Because I didn't marry you to be more. See, men and women are triggered differently. And maybe this, I don't know if this is a heteronorm thing or what, because it might be. I don't want to take that off the table. Where, especially with these hetero men, Dustin, they are very comfortable in their positioning and yours. And when you start elevating your positioning, especially as if theirs is either stagnant or descending, it actually is a real problem. I mean, my ex-husband said to me, and I don't think he meant it maliciously, like, that's not what I married. I didn't marry somebody that was going to fast forward 10 years later, 12 years later, you know, today, have a syndicated show and do all this and write into books. Like, that literally wasn't anything, because he knew where to go get that. And I think that might be if we really got to the nitty gritty, Iman might be like, yeah, I know Rihanna's number. I ain't pursue Rihanna. I didn't pursue Beyonce. Not that he could have got him. I'm just saying, I picked a woman, because remember, for a long time, see, some of y'all you're really just getting up on Teyana Taylor, and you only know her as the big star she is today. There was a time where she was kind of under the radar because she was signed with Jay and Rock for
She was
forever.
signed to Good Music.
Oh, Good
Kanye
Music
West
originally.
label, yeah.
Okay. And it was almost like she was being held back, was I think the perception a lot of us had. This woman is gorgeous. This woman has a body that won't quit. Beyond that and the aesthetic, vocally, she's there.
Brilliant, gifted dancer.
Dance, choreography, forget it. Forget it.
And she can act. She did
and
her
she's
thing.
a fantastic actress. I mean, a lot of people were expecting a kind of surprise Academy Award nomination for her recent film.
1001.
That's it.
Yep.
So my point is, a lot of us felt like she was being underutilized in the industry and she was being marginalized. And I believe, this is just me, probably projecting a little bit, but also speaking from a little bit of experience. I believe that Iman picked her for a reason in that capacity. She's beautiful. She's successful. She's earning great money, but not too much money. And she ain't too big. And then she fucked around and got too big.
That is so wild to me.
Is it crazy
I would want
sounding?
my baby to be on. Like, if you're doing your thing and obviously there's a possibility for you to be insanely successful, that's what I would want for you.
Yeah, you're a different kind of man, Dustin. I'm
You
just
know what
telling
I'm
you.
saying?
And
Like-
it's probably many reasons why you're a different kind of man.
I could tell you one.
Yeah. Well, I think I heard about one, but let me keep to this docket right quick and get right back on this script.
Tell your friend, hey.
Oh my God, y'all. Okay, all right. A black woman turning red in the studio. All right. Anyways, back to Teyana, because this man about to get me in trouble. She says that he started treating her, stop it, cruelly and displaying extreme narcissistic behavior throughout the marriage. Again, I have a tendency to believe this because I know what this could look like. I'm not saying for sure that he did this. I'm saying what it could look like.
Yeah.
He, though, allegedly, per her, did not want her to work when she became a mother, but complained about her lack of employment when she stayed at home raising the kids. See, again, we see this sometimes, right? I want you to earn money. I want you to contribute. I don't want to feel like you're quote freeloading and I'm having to carry the whole family. But when you work, and probably because of the capacity in which she must work, you know, she's globally traveling. She's on set. She's doing this. He didn't really like that either. Now, she says that she tried to reconcile when his NBA career started falling apart, but she could not make amends. She then filed for divorce in 2022. Wow. So that's 2 years ago. Before making her legal team withdraw one day later. And we see this sometimes. You file and then you say, wait a minute, let's see if we can work on it. Then the cheating scandals. So then it went from bad to worse. Then his cheating scandals. He was arrested for DUI and weed possession. None of that helped. Now, his attorneys, I want to be clear, has denied y'all all of these allegations of cruel treatment and all of that. And he says that the reason for the divorce is simply that it was a broken bond. So I just want to put out his side there. Finances. Let's get to the money. This is why we're talking about it. According to the June documents, Iman has asked the court to revise his child support payments. He only wants to pay $8,000 a month to account for what he says is his gross monthly income of only $48,000. I say only because at one time, he was making $48,000 probably a minute, damn near. Yeah. But now I get it. He's retired, and this probably is accurately reflective, Dustin, of what his retirement pension looks like. He also claims, though, that she is bringing in about double. He's saying that she's making closer to $100,000, $94,000 to be exact, a month. By the way, I just want to say that I hate that in both this case and most recently in the case of Kenya Moore v. Mark
Daily,
that these women's monthly incomes are a part of public record. Yeah. I just wanted to note that for the record. Why do we know that Kenya makes $50,000 a month? Why do we know that Teyana Taylor roughly makes $94,000 a month? I don't like it. Moving on. For her part, Teyana has accused him of withdrawing nearly $4 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money, period. It's a lot of money based off of these numbers. If we're talking about 50 or 100,000, that's a lot of money, but it's not FU money. It's not $2 million a month. So when you start talking about withdrawing $4 million based off those numbers, that is a sizable portion.
Absolutely.
Of income. And left her to foot a $200,000 home renovation bill. And again, even at $100,000 earning a month, $200,000 on a bill is a lot. You're going to feel that.
You're definitely going to feel it. this sounds to, well, I'll let you finish.
No, please don't.
This just sounds to me like Iman is earning way less money than he's used to earning. And when he was a high earner, I don't think he was paying attention to, what he was, this or that. And I don't think he knows how to budget and live.
And so now he's feeling it. He's now that the salary reduction is $48,000 a month, because I'm sure it gave him no pride to say that in the document, that when you are a grown man coming from an NBA lifestyle and you say to the court, I only make $48,000 a month, that is a sign of concession. That is a plea for mercy, really. It's basically telling the court, I don't have it. I know you would think I have it, but I don't have it like that.
And I think there's shame involved because it's an exposing of poor planning. You know what I mean? Yep. And in a situation like this where we're assessing what we have and who's going to be responsible for what, it looks bad that you're even
in this situation. Well, what's it they say? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Hey. Something like that?
Yeah.
Got it. So last on this, she has accused him in court documents of smoking weed and poorly influencing the children while in his care, rather. She also claimed that he failed to feed them. Oh my God. When he was under their care. This sounded like Jeezy and Jeannie Mai. Right? And she once says that he once sent the children to Chicago's United Center Arena alone using a ride. So she's saying he put them in the Uber to go to the arena. Golly. Last thing she wants to add to her claim, Dustin, is she wrote, also let me add, all of the utilities in my home were on the same day after that shit was pulled. Oh, me and my kids are never going to be sitting ducks. So this goes back to, I think there was one point in which it was being reported that due to his lack of payment to her, that basically her and her kids were sitting around in the dark with no electricity. She said, let me be very clear. I'm too rich for that. That never happened.
They're never going to be sitting ducks. Yeah. It's sad to see them at this space. Yeah. And I really hope that they can figure it out. I hope Iman zooms out. Like you like to say, and I hope that they find their way back to some really good, just peace and harmony, and they can excel in co-parenting. Yeah. I think they both love them kids.
I have no doubt. Yeah. I have no doubt they both love the kids. I have no doubt that they probably still have some level of love for each other. I think what is trumping all of that is this dynamic that we keep talking about, which is when they got into the relationship, when they got into the marriage, when they had the first child, they were both successful and high earners, but he was a bit superior. And even if you want to argue equal, what has happened since, and it's really happened quite quickly, we're talking about really the last 4 years max, she has simply eclipsed him in terms of notoriety. I mean, she's on the Met Gala carpet solo. Would he have been on the carpet? There was a time, but during their separation, I'm sure Anna Wintour doesn't even know who he is today. I mean, I'm just saying, for real.
And if she does, it's because he was married to Teyana, who she knows.
Woo.
So, and that's no disrespect to Iman's legacy in basketball.
It's what it is.
It's just an acknowledgement of the reality of today, of current relevance in entertainment.
Yeah, and then you take the pay cut on top of that. So I think this is what it is. I think right now he's at $8,000 a month on the child support. I really do reasonably expect that to change, but not in a way that Teyana's going to like. I think as his income continues to be stagnant or decrease further, because that's eventually what will happen. He wasn't in the league long enough, nor did he accomplish enough in the league, I don't believe, to be on a lifetime pension of $48,000 a month. That number is just going to probably continue to go down. And absent professional rehabilitation of this man, Teyana needs to start, speaking of planning, she needs to start planning to live the life she wants with her children without any help from him. And by the way, $8,000, again, per the numbers that we're talking about, is very much not a lot of money. Now, it's a lot of money for him because he's only making 48, right? And he has a lifestyle he's probably still trying to chase. And so the math is not math. He's probably in a deficit every month. And that's what he's telling the court. And I believe that. So Teyana's going to have to really start, not start, because I'm sure she's been doing this, continue bossing up as she has been doing. And just realize that, she married a depreciable asset.
Yeah, I mean,
she did.
By the numbers, yes.
Per the numbers, yes. I'm so sorry. Per the numbers. Yes. I'm not calling the man himself. See, this is why I get in trouble. Thank you for helping me. I'm not saying Iman himself is depreciating.
Nah, we're just saying what's
I'm saying
happen.
if you're looking at the line item.
At the line item.
On the spreadsheet. It has gone from this to that.
That's it.
And now we have to adjust accordingly. So I just, like I said, and I'm sure she's getting great advisement because it looks like she's got a great team. Because when you're ascending at the level she's ascending to in this, and I like the pace of her ascension. I just want to note that separate and apart from this legal analysis, I think there's something to be said for the pace of her ascension. It's been very organic. It's been very steady. It hasn't been abrupt or inauthentic. And I think that because of that, Dustin, it will sustain and it will continue to build. And she will get to a place where she is not thinking about no $8,000 at all if she's not already there. Now, what will be interesting is if we revisit these two on the docket in some months or years later, and now he's asked, he might be seeking child support. I can see that. And I can see him getting it because of the change of position.
I think all of that is so ugly.
I know you do, and I'm not saying it's cute, but I'm telling you what I know. When it looks this way,
that's usually coming.
And he married an appreciable asset. He did.
She's still going up. Did you see her over in Paris at Vogue World?
I did.
The performance,
looking amazing.
Oh my God,
performance
stunning.
was. She has a sustainable talent. So. That's just y'all just think about that. I don't want to get too because y'all be getting mad at me, but when you're picking partners, just look at not only the number today and the skill set today. Look at how it's going to literally age. He picked somebody who had a skill set that lends itself to appreciation. She picked someone not shitting on athletes at all. Very important. I love to spectate. But typically, when you marry a pro, unless it is literally a Russell Wilson, a Michael Jordan, a Kobe, there's a handful, but we can name them for a reason because the vast majority of them don't go that way. From the day they enter the field after college or high school, their valuation is likely to drop due to injury, due to age. That's what it is. So have a plan.
Have a plan.
Or plan to fail.
Or take a plan B. Shit, and you ain't got to worry about none of this shit.
You know what?
Which is why you need to vote for the right motherfucker so that you can have access to women's reproductive health care.
And that part. All the dots connected by Dustin Ross, ladies and gents. Okay, moving on to another woman. A little bit different fact pattern, but some similar themes, right? We're talking about Rachel Lindsay. Rachel, if the name sounds familiar, most prominently known for being on the Bachelorette franchise on ABC. And then Rachel very smartly, in my estimation, leveraged that, that ABC relationship to do everything you should be doing in this industry. She was hosting Extra at one point in time. She has a podcast with Van Latham, Higher Learning.
Shout out to Van Latham. Yes. The brother Van Latham. That's my boy. What else to say here? According to the new legal documents by TMZ, the Bachelor Nation production and podcaster, let's just get to it. She ended up actually getting married from the show, which not everybody does. She did. Abasolo. She married a gentleman named Bryan Abasolo. I believe I'm saying that correctly. Big mistake. Why you say that? Never married him. Tell me why. Did you watch her season? No, I watched some of it. But I've actually never watched The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I never got caught up in that vacuum. I'm actually surprised. Okay, but go ahead. I paid attention to, especially when the black faces became. Of course. We always follow the black story because that's what we do. Yeah. And so, I never felt. From him, you just never felt it. I never felt it. And I always felt like with the spotlight that she had now, once she got away from him, she could find someone who was more evenly yoked. I'll put it like that. Oh, interesting. Okay, so let's break this down because you're giving me some new tea. So you never, because a lot of people felt, because he was a chiropractor, and I'm just going to sidestep. There's a whole little. There's another conversation. Yeah, there's here, a little. I'm gonna just sidestep that, and I'm gonna just give this man enough to say he was a chiropractor and he had his own practice in Miami and he was earning a respectful living. I'm gonna just go with those facts.
and leave y'all to those other facts. I say respectful living. I say respectful. That's why I framed it that way.
Okay.
Look, Dustin about to get spicy.
Okay.
But I said respectful living.
You're right.
Okay. So a lot of people thought, again, at that time, now we're going back to the Teyana Iman analogy. At that time, he's a quote doctor. I'm not doing this with y'all. That bougie affluent set of the jurors who's pushing back on it. They said he's a doctor, okay, because he does hold a doctorate in chiropractic.
Then they love saying,
I know. I'm trying to sidestep it, D. He's a doctor of some sort. She is a lawyer. Absolutely. By the way, comes from a very prestigious family in the Dallas, Texas area. Her father's a sitting federal judge. That's why you never saw him on them home visits and shit. And for those, if you don't know, black federal judges in America, I mean, it is the thinnest of pools. Okay, it is success at one of the highest levels. And her mother is also a very successful professional, by the way. Rachel she was a DA at one point. She's had a successful legal career prior. Listen, it's a reason she was picked. Let's just frame this for you. This was not just a cute woman with a headshot. Rachel was selected to be the historic first black bachelorette because she had all the things. And she speaks about this in interviews. She had a certain look that was affable to a wide variety of people. She's particular, there was a lot of anti-blackness that had to be diffused in order for her to even be a bachelorette. So she's thin enough. She has the features. She, was the right enough complexion. I mean, we have to name these things, right? Then she has a Juris Doctorate degree. She's educated. She comes from affluence. She was kind of like the model of what, if we're going to let a black woman have this role, it has to look like that. One could say she had to be twice as good to be half as much. One could say that. So here she is in that capacity. Bryan, like I said, a doctor of sorts. A lot of people thought they were equally yoked, is what I'm trying to say, or close to. But Dustin Ross is making, I think, a very provocative point that you never saw it for him.
Never.
He always read a little lower to you. Tell me why.
I just felt that way.
Oh, you're spiritual. Okay.
Yeah, maybe it was an intuitive thing, but I always felt like I could see, again, speaking to trajectory and speaking to where a person's going to go. She was a media darling. Yeah. Right? Ate up that press attention.
Yes, she did.
ABC. This is like mainstream network
that part.
Television.
Because there was a time, by the way, just y'all know, connect the dots. If you know, ABC is a owner of ESPN. There was a time where Rachel was in that rotation heavily of guest hosting and on ESPN and with Rachel to this day is a frequent guest on The View. Who's that owned by? ABC.
I just saw I knew that she was here to stay. Yeah. I'll put it like that when we were introduced to her for some of the very reasons that you just mentioned.
Sure.
She shows up well in this space.
Yes, she does.
And so I just never believed it.
You said he looked like a fallen star?
He does. He absolutely does. And so, I just...
So nothing about this surprised you. I hear you. And I was not surprised, although I will give you credit. You saw it a little better than I did. I thought he was fine enough. I thought he was fine enough. I thought, again, as somebody who kind of watched these shows historically, at least, sadly, when it comes to The Bachelorette, the caliber of the men on that side tends to not be that high. I
also think that...
So I think amongst his peers, he looked stronger to me. It's almost like summer camp goggles.
Yes.
Seriously.
Same. Okay.
Yes. So in that group of men, he kind of rose above the crop. But when you take that context out...
She's a star.
Yeah, and he was never a star.
He never complimented that to me. Again, I didn't watch the show.
Well, apparently to her too.
Yeah.
Because baby, she has moved on. Okay, so he now, all of that to say, it's dissolved. He wants $10,000 a month for spousal, because they had no children together. They were married for about 4 years. He wants $10,000 a month. Dustin Ross says, let me give you two more numbers before you speak, because y'all know he's chomping at the bit. Okay, in the documents, Rachel, once again, another woman's income in the press. Rachel Lindsay says she's bringing about $61K through the door. How about you, sir? He's saying that he only is bringing in $13K from his work as a chiropractor. Keep in mind, he also says this, like I said, he was Miami based. His practice was there. There was at some point where he moved to LA, he says, to support her career. His practice suffered. Yada, yada, yada. You failed to support your practice. You tried to support whatever the why is, your income and your productivity decreased. So you're talking about a roughly $45,000 to $50,000 a month gap of income between Rachel at $61K a month and your ass at $13K a month. Per that, he's saying I should be paid $10K a month because I sacrificed my own earning potential to support you. Now, Rachel says, bullshit. Rachel says, sir, we were barely even around each other. You chose to uproot some aspects of your life and livelihood and see how things could go with me in LA, because I made it very clear I'm going to be in LA.
Yes.
Earning, working, providing. She also says that within the 4 years of the legal marriage, they were rarely sharing the same bed. They were rarely under the same roof. So she's like, I really don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but here we are. So go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, I to me, his whole argument is bullshit. You were totally down to uproot your life because you went on the show in the first goddamn place.
Well, now that's true.
So where was the practice then? You know what I mean? So you can't blame that on her. You're just trying to attach yourself to this to get some money from her and attach yourself to her business, and it's disgusting to me.
You know, Dustin, I really want you to think about how you really feel about it.
right. Are you sure? Yeah. I'm just disgusted by that shit, man.
Right.
This girl is a star, like I said.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm very intrigued by her, and I think there's a definite place for her in media.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And I love seeing her do her thing.
God will make room for your gifts.
Yeah.
Her gifts are being accommodated.
So get the fuck out of here and let her live her life. Meet another man that's gonna love her right along that path.
Yeah,
that's got his own
in her capacity. To
yes,
I agree with that.
That's what she needs. So
I agree with that. This is interesting from a legal space. She's claiming that he's refusing to move out of her home. Basically, she's calling him a squatter. He is not paying his fair share of the expenses because he probably can't afford it. But regardless, he's not. And that's it. That's all. Since the filing of the divorce, Rachel would like him to move out so that either, I'm sure she would like to have the option to sell the home or move back into whatever it is. She's saying, I'm footing the bill for the house. I'm paying for everything. She's saying she's paying the mortgage. She's saying in the court documents, Dustin, that she's paying the side bills. She's saying the only thing that Bryan is paying, the only thing he's paying is the gardener and like half of the utilities. But everything, the insurance on the house, Rachel is paying. The homeowners association fees, Rachel is paying. Come on now.
Then they don't have any children.
They have
were only
0
married
children.
for 4 years.
Right. And the crazy part, guess who filed for divorce? Guess who filed?
Him.
And let her know by text.
So hopefully, right, the judge here, you know, I hope that the judge really looks at this for what it is. He's trying to obviously make a money grab, shut the whole thing down. Yeah. Shut it down, make his ass get out the house and move on. There's nothing stopping him from earning income. He doesn't have to figure out childcare. He doesn't have to figure out anything.
Yeah, he's not bound by location. Break. Yeah.
And you can crack a back anywhere. So if that's what if you're going to go in there and crack somebody's toes or knuckles, then you can do that anywhere you at, bro.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen.
You're
Dustin
not
Ross.
handicapped to be employed. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing stopping you from being employed right now. Go somewhere and break a back and do it wherever you at. Yeah. And let Rachel go on and do her thing. I hate that. This white man, it's not a black-white thing, but it does look like that.
It does look like that. This white man
is trying to take this black girl's money as she's not finally, because she's obviously been successful in life.
But she's earning at a different level.
Come on.
She's earning at a different level. She's viable at a different level. Everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. And
he's a gold digger.
Yeah, he's a bum. Mm-hmm. He's a bum. And
a scrub.
Yeah,
Candy and Tiny, the TLC, he's a scrub.
I'm going to leave it there. One thing, to button this one up before we move to the great Justice of the Supreme Court, Kentanji Brown Jackson.
Yes.
By the way, 3 black women in a row is just fucking doing it.
Listen, give it
right?
up. Teyana, Rachel, Kentanji.
Justice Brown
Justice
Jackson.
Brown. Let's talk. Listen. Yes.
Love to see that. Y'all, Rachel, despite coming from legal progeny, despite being a lawyer herself, did not have a prenup going into this marriage. And she says publicly, Dustin, she regrets it.
I'm sure she does.
What do you think? I mean, obviously, all we know is what she's told us, which is she entered the marriage without one knowingly, and now she's regretful about it. What do you think's at play when a brilliant woman with so much know-how sidesteps the prenup piece?
I have no idea. I cannot for the life of me figure out why she, of all people, did not have a prenup agreement in place with a motherfucker you met on TV. It's not like this is someone that you have a history with that would, make you feel like you could trust them in certain ways and you end up doing something stupid like this. This is somebody you met on television.
Literally.
The prenup should have been out at the first date. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a reminder that we're going to have some rules of engagement.
Dustin said, fuck a fantasy suite.
Yeah, no.
It's going to be this right here.
Listen, let me just so we're clear, because look where they are now.
I'll say this. I think it's a good point for, some of our favorite jurors are the lawyers and legal professionals. Shout out to all the lawyers. Shout out to all the paralegals. Shout out to all the legal assistants. We see you. We love you. We appreciate y'all. What most of us will tell you is just having the knowledge doesn't always equate to executing what we know, because we're still human. That's what I think. I think she's still human. I think she got very caught up. Again, having watched enough of their season, I think she got very caught up in the romance of it all, including production, because again, the whole thing is produced. And that's not to say that stuff's not real. We've talked about this before on the show. Things can be both produced and authentic. But the way in which we're in the hot air balloon, our second date is in the Tag Heuer store, and you're buying this. It's just such a romantic intoxication that goes on with this thing. The wedding is, such a thing. And I believe theirs might have even been televised. Many of them are. You almost get so caught up, I can see at least, where even with the legalese and the legal brilliance and the legal experience from both right in her family, in her own house, with also her own practice, I could see, I know it's hard for people to believe, I could see a brilliant, legally trained mind overriding that intellectual piece, overriding that knowledge piece, and going for the romance. Why? Because we still live in a society that to this day, for some reason, condemns prenups as anti-romantic, as anti-family, as it's just seen as a stigma.
From a bitch that's got something to hide.
Whoop.
If you don't have nothing to hide, and if you don't have any intent to steal my money and to take anything from me once this doesn't go right, what's the problem? Well,
we know what to say, right? Like I have I have a homeowner's policy on my condo. I know you have some kind of renter's insurance. I know you do, because I've been in your house. The bar alone.
You crazy.
I'm serious. No, the point is you don't want a fire to happen at your house any more than I want my condo to burn down.
No.
But we have our insurance policy.
Just in case.
Just in case.
I just don't get it. And to me, the minute that anyone puts up any sort of challenges or contests signing a prenup, that's the reddest flag you can have.
Yeah. So I mean, and that's what Rachel's saying now too, by the way.
Why the fuck wouldn't you want our shit to be together? Yeah. We're not breaking up, but let's just make sure we good.
And let's make sure we're good from a place where we actually are good. Meaning when we try to figure out how we're good, when we're mad, you're mad or I'm mad or we're both mad, we know it's not going to look good.
Yeah, you're trying to reserve the right to be able to get me if in the end, if you don't like, no. You should love me enough to be able to make sure that we have measures in place.
Yes, and that's all they are.
Treated fairly.
Again, y'all are I've never seen, well, I ain't gonna say never. I've rarely seen a prenup that says you get nothing. I've just rarely seen that. Most prenups are negotiated in a way that considers all people and all of their abilities and all of their positions. So
you need to love me enough.
Yeah.
To let me protect myself after we're broken up.
Yeah, and love me enough to protect myself, and love yourself enough. Because again, Mr. Chiropractor, if you are thinking your practice is ascending, you should be as incentivized. One would argue, right? He should have been just as incentivized, because I'm willing to bet at that time when they got married, like in real time, the earnings were more equitable between the two of them. You know, I bet I'm just going to guess she wasn't at $61,000 a month at that time. And so that prenup really should have been more egalitarian in nature. And that's how most prenups are, by the way. And the fact that you, sir, refused to participate in that says that you probably had an inclination, like Dustin's saying, or some kind of plan to ride coattails. That's what it's giving. Bryan, child.
Right.
All right. Moving on. Judge Kentanji Brown Jackson, Justice, really, Kentanji Brown Jackson of the U.S. Supreme Court, dissents in Ohio's recent emergency abortion ruling. In her dissent, the justice wrote this. And y'all, we're referring to a Supreme Court decision that kind of, by some people's standards, kind of surprisingly allowed this emergency ban to not be upheld. You know, so this kind of went against what most people expected from this very conservative court. And Judge Jackson kind of wrote a dissent, but it's not for the reason you think. So let's hear her. She wrote that this is not a victory for pregnant patients. It is a delay. While this court dawdles and the country waits, pregnant people experiencing emergency medical conditions remain in a precarious position as their doctors are kept in the dark about what the law requires. She also said that the court had an opportunity to, quote, bring clarity and certainty to this tragic situation, and we have squandered it. For as long as we refuse to declare what the law requires, pregnant patients in Idaho, Texas, and elsewhere will be paying the price because we owe them and the nation an answer to the straightforward preemption question presented in these cases. I respectfully dissent. Y'all, what she's doing here is important. So, to be clear, normally when someone dissents, it's because they, you know, kind of disagree with the merits of the case. She's not necessarily just doing that. She's disagreeing with the rationale. And what she's doing is she's creating a permanent record. I remember when y'all was in school, you had a permanent record. She's creating the nation's permanent record on her position here and where we are and where we should be. And I applaud it. I really, really think this is where she's just brilliantly and wildly important.
Yes.
A Biden campaign advisor later warned that women's health and the freedoms exist in peril today. Of course, we've already talked about this on the show. I'm going to keep telling y'all, bang y'all head against this shit till you get it. This is only even a real conversation in this way because of the election of Donald Trump in 2016, which people are still dying by that consequence, literally. Because that man put 3 Supreme Court justices on the bench that successfully did what many of us, my hand is up included, thought was impossible. We thought Roe v. Wade was well settled law. That is what they told us in law school, Dustin. That's why I believed that. Just like they told us Brown v. Board was well settled law. But I'm looking at an America that has more segregated schools today than they did in 1954. Why is that? How settled is the law? Anyway.
Man.
Women are being turned away from emergency rooms. I mean, we read these stories every day, right? And a lot of them are from men who are married or partnered with women who they say they're having to watch them either die or come close to it because of hemorrhaging, because of preeclampsia, because of all types of things. And doctors are literally afraid to treat them, Dustin, because they're afraid they're going to get sued and found liable for the simple medical treatment of pregnant patients.
Yikes.
Yeah, this is a real bad one. This is a real bad one, and I hate it. I want to say the reason I brought this up, though, is because I want to just show y'all in real time the value, because some of y'all still out there, some of us even still out there acting like this woman is irrelevant.
What?
Oh yeah.
Please.
Oh, I mean, it's just a black face. Like, who cares? Because she's not a swing voter, because Trump has made it so that there is no swing vote, because we're not in a 5-4 court. See, that's the kind of court you want, whether it's conservative or liberal leaning. You want a 5-4 court because that allows the opportunities for a swing voter. We saw it with the reason some of y'all right now today are able to get the things you need health-wise because of Obamacare. Obamacare is imperfect, but Obamacare has absolutely unequivocally made it so that more Americans have health care coverage of some sort today than ever before.
Yep.
That's a fact.
Can't argue with that.
Can't argue with it. And you know who also couldn't argue with that piece of it on some level? Republican, conservative appointed Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts, who in a 5-4 court, 5 conservative, 4 liberal, ruled with the liberals with his conservative ass. And that is how important having a balanced court is. If you didn't know, now you know.
Now you know.
All right, that's it. That's all for me. I think we've said a lot today.
We have. I know it's early. I need a cocktail, Ebony.
Let's go get one.
You know, watch me.
Give me. Literally, just give me 6 good weeks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be right there with you.
And Shirley Temples be gone. Right?
Listen, make it an Aperol spritz. Emphasis on the spritz. Okay, listen, y'all. We gonna stop playing with y'all. We're gonna be out, but we will be back. Don't you fear.
Yes.
Just next week, same time, same place. In the meantime, y'all stay safe, keep the faith, and what should the people do? What do the women, the men, the non-binaries? What do everybody need to make sure that they do, Dustin?
Please read your terms and establish some conditions. Okay,
and hold to them. Hold to them. And I mean that, ladies. I mean that, gentlemen. I mean that, non-binary siblings.
Everybody.
I love romance. It's a real thing. It really is. And I wish it for all. Don't let it override your terms nor your conditions.
Please, you better listen to E.
For real. Holding Court is produced by Uppity Productions. Host and executive producers here, Eboni K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. We've also got our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. Creative consultant, Jay Kleinberg. And follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcast.